All right, thank you. All right, hello everyone. My name is Lindsey. I'm with MT4 Professional. I'm also a part of the Resilient Trader team, and I'm here to do some trade analysis for you. So let me know in the webinar chat what you want to look at, what you want to look for, what you're interested in. I also have my scanner platform up and ready to go. So I can look for any of the Forex or futures, Bitcoin, worldwide type symbols if you're interested in that. And I use the MT4 or MT5 platform to do this because it has my rules set up to scan for a particular setup. When everything looks bullish or bearish to me, it alerts me ahead of time, and then I can set up the trades. Whenever the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell all kind of look like they're starting to trend, then I can also trade on my other platforms like the TD Ameritrade or NinjaTrader. So let me know what you're interested in, what you're you want me to give you some analysis on. I've been trading for a long time, and I've got a lot of experience, and I can let you know what I think. I can show you what my charts tell me, and let me see. Wonder why this thing's not showing here. It's not. This panel's just right in my way. There it goes. Okay, good. All right, so GameStop. Let me see if I can't type that in here. All right. What we're looking at here on the charts, you can see the red dots on my chart are trend indications, and it shows me the overall direction. Red is a downtrend, and green is an uptrend, obviously. The lines and crosses above are my automatic trailing stop. So when I get into a trade, I will follow the trend in the direction of that, and then the automatic trailing stop will get me out if it hits or crosses above that. But it'll hold me into the trade while it's moving in that direction. What you see below here is volume. So I'm a volume trader, price action and volume. So when I look at and analyze a chart, I'm looking at it from a volume trading price action trader perspective. So I'm looking, all the colored bars that you see here are not colored based upon open, high, low, and close. They're colored based upon the volume. So if you see a red bar, that means it's a lot of selling pressure on there. If you see a green bar, there's a lot of buying pressure on that bar. So when I'm going through my analysis, you can see what we're looking at. I'm currently on a daily, a weekly, and a monthly longer time frame chart. So if you're interested in the analysis on a shorter time frame, let me know. I'll be glad to look at that and give you a little bit more thorough analysis from that perspective. But right now on a daily, weekly, longer term, you can see the daily chart is in a range. It's come up into overhead resistance. These are my supply and demand zone areas. So I've calculated that these are displayed on the chart to show me where my highest probability support and resistance are. Sounds good, David. So I can expect a high probability that this is going to hold, since it was created back at this point, held here, came right back up into this area. It's high probability it's going to hold and respond from it, and it indeed did. Came back down, tested it, failed, got a lower high, and then we come right back down into what we're looking for is support now. Now this band here is showing the support is here. I've got my automatic stops here for the long, but it also is showing me 1544 is the underlying support. So this looks like it's range bound between the low of the year and now the new high, which it was not able to come back into that range. So we did break the overall downtrend on the most recent information that we got in from the Santa Claus rally. But on the weekly chart, we're just transitioning over into a bullish trend. And on the monthly chart, you can see it's still very negative bearish trend. So longer term, this is still very weak. We're not seeing any real bullish power or strength coming into this move. So I don't anticipate this coming back up anytime soon.
it's probably going to continue to be weak. It's going to stay below 18 or probably above 15 in that range. SANM. I don't even know what that stock is. But from the charts, looks like it's pretty choppy. Probably it's not that bad, relatively low volume. But from a daily perspective, looks like it's had some news and some reactions to that. It is currently range bound. It is also looking at a weekly chart. We're looking at the same range. It tried to test back down and close below that low, but it rallied back up and is now in the same supply demand support resistance range. The monthly chart is showing a downtrend. But we have a nice buying volume coming in here, a really big volume spike here. This is a potential reversal bar, but it was not confirmed. So this right here has some potential to start going back up again on the longer term, but I don't see it coming out anytime soon because I don't see any buying support coming from the weekly. I also do not see any buying support coming from the daily. The big bars in volume are coming from the sell side. And these are not exhaustion bars. These are actual demand to the downside. So these are, that's where you'd expect this chart to continue going. My mouse is the crosshair on the screen. If you don't see my mouse, that's because it's set up as a crosshair. The center of the crosshair is where I'm currently pointing. So that's where you want to be looking. The crosshair is the mouse. All right, so let me see here. The IWM. Okay, I might already have that up here, but I don't. I've got the Russell Futures Index, but if you want to look at the IWM, we can look at that as well. It's a Russell ETF, Russell 2000 ETF. You can see we had a really nice rally coming up into the end of last year, peaked out, and then we started to correct down into this area. But the first week has shown some pretty downside, but today's been pretty up. So coming from this chart, we are still in a daily downtrend. We have an overhead resistance area that has been designated 203 to 205. But we're looking for this to continue down to about a 187 based upon supply and demand zone trading. So looking at the current volume, the volume is definitely heavy to the sell side, and we don't see any power giving us any directional change on that. The weekly, however, is still showing an uptrend, which is strong. We broke out and came up with a close into new highs. So that is an established uptrend. But this is just following in line with this. So this is a shorter term correction based upon the longer term trend, which has very good volume support. And we have a nice higher high formation on our longer term weekly chart. So that's good. That looks good overall for the long term. This has a good chance of returning to that. But you can see the monthly chart has good increasing volume buy and has good power increasing coming up into that. So this also supports the potential for an increase in price over time. So if this doesn't hit the 187, it will form a new support at this level. It'll come back up and test this 203, 205 range. If it breaks 205, then we expect it to continue to 210. And that's where the next overhead resistance area is. If you pull that down, look at that. You got a 208 to 212 range, which was previously formed a long time ago, back in March of last year. March of 2022, actually, not of 23. So this is almost 2 years ago that we're coming up into an overhead resistance area that has been established around that range. All right, so you'll have the same picture on the Qs as well. I'll go ahead and pull those up. So you're going to be seeing the same relative
direction, your short-term correction in a longer-term trend, but the monthly on the cues are showing the strength coming up into that. So we have broken up into new highs, probably new all-time highs based upon the monthly. Pull that up, yeah. So that's nice. Notice that the close was above the most recent high. So this is showing that after a short correction, if volume still shows that support, we can expect to see this this moving up. But we're starting to see declining volume on a monthly basis, and we're not seeing a rise in power. So that tells me that we're going to be probably consolidating in this area. Shorter term weekly, we are in a nice weekly trend. We don't see volume increasing, and we also don't see power increasing. So that gives us a higher high, lower high. That's a divergent move, and that's not good for it continuing to go up. So we're getting in a negative increase in that direction. You're seeing the same thing on the daily. Here you're seeing a decreasing power, increasing price. That's not going to last much longer. It's telling us that we're going to be looking for a corrective move sometime soon, even though we're still in a nice bullish trend. It could correct, and that might not correct out of the bullish trend, but if it closes down below 369, it's going to be in a downtrend as well. All right, let me see. There's a lot of stuff coming in. The charts aren't changing. Huh? Why? Looks like everything's updating. Everything looks fine. You can see the what chart do you see right now? You see the ES chart? Huh, it's not sharing. Well, let me stop sharing and then I'll share again. So that way it'll refresh up. Okay, you see the cues, so Al sees it. Yeah, okay. Well, it looks like most people are seeing the thing. And can you see my crosshair is the mouse? Can you see my crosshair? Yeah, let me go ahead and stop the share and then I'll reshare it again. Share the screen. All right, screen. Okay. There we go. Can you see it now? You see my crosshair moving? Okay. Okay, so I guess I'll have to go back over all that then, won't I? I don't know. Sometimes technology is just beyond us. It's good now. So, all right. So back to, let me just very quickly recap. I'll go back to the IWM and the cues just to pull that back up. But we were looking at these ranges here are my supply and demand zones. All right. This right here is the volume. The volume color shows red is telling me I have selling pressure. Green tells me I have buying pressure. And white is neutral or congestive, equal buying and selling pressure. So you can see most of the chart you can see here has red volume coming in, but then you see a period where you're getting a lot of mixed signals, but you're back into a period of selling pressure coming into this move down. Power is definitely dropping, it's going lower. And my trend on the daily is down, but the weekly chart shows nice buying pressure, a neutral bar, and an increase in power and price. So this is bullish, and it's a bullish on both power and volume, looking at trend direction. So it's a breakout of a consolidation range. You can see that on the monthly a little bit better, where prices closed higher than the previous pivot highs. You've got increasing volume coming up into that break and increasing power. So that also is showing that there's a very good possibility of
of price coming back up into the 220 range, or even testing this region out in here for a month from a monthly perspective. The weekly confirms that. The daily looks like it's just correcting back down, but we would expect it to push back into that area once it does its testing, maybe to the 187 point, or maybe just even to where it's at right now, because you can see prior to that, let me expand this out a little bit more. There was some support and resistance right in this area. You can see price coming down to this region here, has some prior support and resistance here and here. So it could stabilize here and then continue back on. But for now, you can see that the highest probability reversal point would be right here at the 187 point. All right, so yeah, too many things have come through. I've lost the ticker. So give me some more symbols that you want me to analyze here, and I'll be glad to that. Dell, okay. Oh, this looks very bullish. See the big, huge gap. Probably really a nice earnings report came out. Big gap coming up into that. It broke from that and continued on a nice daily uptrend. You can see that the weekly trend has been in a nice uptrend since April. All right. Really strong move coming up and continuing, and the monthly as well. So you've got really good, strong base support. I'm not very happy with this declining volume coming up into new highs on lower power. So that's very divergent, but I'm getting high power on new highs on the monthly chart. So while this is giving me some weakness here, and this is giving me some weakness here, the monthly is still strong. Overall, this still looks like a good long-term hold, but expect if this doesn't give us a high volume spike, i.e. an exhaustion move, you would be looking for a nice volume spike like this, and it would be a green volume spike showing that all the buyers are pushing back out and exhausting. At a certain point, I would expect either a high degree of sell or a large number of sellers start coming in following that. But right now, the volume is not showing this as any type of exhaustion. So this is still very sustainable, but I would really like to see these bars turning green, showing that these are buyers that are supporting this move and not just sellers. But Dell looks strong, and it still looks bullish from this point. All right, Crocs looks a little bit all over the place. It did participate in the Santa Claus rally that most of the market did. Enjoyed a nice bullish run. So from the November the 17th, it looks like that we did get we were able to get the push from this point. About 91 would have been a buy point off of that, because it confirmed on the weekly chart. It also confirmed with volume on the monthly chart. So this would have been a nice buy-in point, but you would have gotten back out at 98 if you followed the stops, or at a close below the dots on red volume. That would also been an indication of an exit. So a 91 to a 101, that's at least 10 bucks. So you got well over 10% on that potential move. So that was a nice setup, but it continued back down into support. Where did it go? Right here in support. It almost made it all the way to our probability zone, but didn't quite make it. And then today's rally is pretty large in perspective to the other one. So really large volume bar, increasing volume coming into that, and power is pushing itself back up. But you can see that the weakness is still there. There's nothing tradable at this point, except the weekly chart is trending higher. The new high, you got a low, high, higher low. Now we're waiting for it to come up and give us a new higher high to make that an established weekly uptrend. The monthly is in congestion. We have a low, we have a high, but it's a lower high. So we're in a longer term downtrend on the monthly chart. So
from that perspective. It's not looking solid on the long term, but on the short term, you got some volatility coming in, and it's looking like it's trying to break out on the short term. NASDAQ. All right, so you want to look at the futures. So I'll look at the March futures contract for the NASDAQ. March futures contract is the NQ H24. And so we're looking at the bullish trend on the NASDAQ. We saw from the Russell, the IWM ETF is showing a very similar chart. We also looked at the S&P, but the NASDAQ is a little bit more bullish in this case because it's not quite into all-time highs, as you can see on the monthly chart, but it's coming very close to that 17,541 area, which is would establish new all-time highs. You've got higher highs in price on the monthly, but you have equal highs in power. That's not bullish. Here on the weekly chart, you're looking at establishing a new higher highs and higher lows. So that's an established uptrend, but power is showing divergence, so it's lower power. All right, so we're looking for this to start finding a resting spot, possibly consolidating in that same range. Also with this one here as well. So you're looking for that to be in a range of 16,106 to 17,090 in that range. So that's what you're looking for on that, is just a range bound trading, but that's a fairly large range, but it's still a weekly and a daily uptrend with your monthly uptrend. So overall, you're still looking at a bullishness with some short-term consolidation. So watch for this pullback to start giving you buying strength. If this buying volume starts to continue and build, I would expect it to break out and continue back up again. Al wants to know if I can share some insight on intraday trading on the NASDAQ or the Russell. What would be my criteria for taking a trade? All right, that's for me, it's simple. I look for a trend, I look for confirming volume, and then I look for it volume to support on the higher time frames. If I were to see that, then this would be a confirming entry point right there. You see how the trend dot turned green, how the volume supported that green move, how I've got power ranging and breaking into a greater than the previous power level, even at a lower price. So that's very good. It's divergent in the direction I want. I've got buying volume supporting that move on my weekly chart. I also have buying volume supporting that move on the monthly chart. So that's what I look for taking this as a trade entry. What I look for the exits or for to take that trade is either I don't have that on my chart, but I have some levels that tell me where to take 3-to-1 profit targets. So anytime I get to a point where I'm at 3 times the risk that I take into a trade, which is established by the automatic trailing stop, then I exit a portion of my trade at a 3-to-1, a second portion of the trade usually at a 5-to-1. But I always use the automatic trailing stop to get me out of the final trade once I've done that. So this right here, this one spike down into that range would have exited me from the trade. Now, in this case, I wouldn't have taken a short because number one, I don't have volume supporting that short move in the weekly or the monthly. And number two, I need to be able to see that volume strength continue. I did see some selling strength, but it's not continuing. I need to see that continue in my favor. So right now there's no buy, there's no sell on the NASDAQ, but that's how I would exactly take the trade. And that's the criteria that I use in order to take that trade. All right, next, we got plenty of time. What do you want to look at? And I'm looking at these as longer term charts, but if you're interested in a much shorter term, let me know that as well. I can pull up my shorter term stuff. Yeah, if you check out our website over on mt4professional.com, we have a platform there that I showed you just a little bit earlier, using either MT4 or MT5, where I do the analysis on the S&P or the NASDAQ using either just this right here is just pure price action. I'm looking at price being greater than a moving average, and it lets me know that. Or I can look at the configuration for a longer term trend, which I like to look at the 15, 30, and 1 hour. So I'll load that configuration up. And what it does is it shows me the same type of setups. So on the NASDAQ, for example, you can see the same type of a setup. This is a 15-minute chart coming in from today. And so you can see when the trend dot changed green, it's at this point that I look at establishing entry in that trade. I've got an indicator here that looks at the longer time frame charts here and here. And so it tells me with these dots, it confirms that I have alignment with volume and trend on those higher ones. So this looks like a confirmed entry point as well. So if I were to take that trade at that point, then I can establish my trend. I look at either a relative stop based upon my own risk parameters, or I can change this value to my trailing stop and then look for this 3-to-1 or 5-to-1 level. So what I would, in this particular case, I would look for where did that go? Right here, the levels. And instead of the profit factor or the stop factor being set as a 1-to-1, then I'm going to change this profit factor right here to a 2. All right, so 2 ATRs are going to be my set profit. So I'll set that up like that. All right. And then let me see the crosshair. The crosshair is linked to all the charts there. So you can see where it does it. So I'll just link it at that point there. So let me turn my levels back on again. There it is. So now this is a 2 ATR level profit. So my stop will be set up based upon 2 ATRs of risk, and then each profit target then will be 2 ATRs profit. So at a 3-to-1 reward risk ratio, I would be taking my first profit target there, unless it zooms by it so much faster. But I would have a resting take profit pretty much right at this level before it ever gets to that point. And then once it hits that, then I would have my stop moved to 2 levels below until it hits the next level, which is 4. And then it would move my stop here to 2 levels below, or the automatic trailing stop, whichever is closer. Here I hit level 5, take a profit, move my stop to level 3, or if this comes back up again, then I'll be at that point. So that's the idea behind the trade and how I would do the execution of the trades. So our website can be found at mt4professional.com. Let me type that in here for you. If you're interested in the software of what I'm demonstrating here on the screen, then there's a link to a trial version of it. If you want to set it up, you can try it out for 14 days, absolutely free, if you're looking at trading off of the MT4 or MT5 platform. Different brokerages allow you to use stocks, different things. These are CFDs of the S&P, NASDAQ, the Russell, the Dow. So those are, for me, the analysis I use close enough for me to do the actual trade and to do the analysis. So looking at the trade, using the scanner to find the proper setup, then going over either to my Thinkorswim or my NinjaTrader platform, I can execute the trades in real time on my mobile devices. If I'm trading stocks, if I'm trading CFDs or futures or crypto or Forex, then I just trade it right there on the MT4 platform through my broker. So if you're looking at volume price analysis, you're looking for volume to give you the heads up that something is happening. You're looking for price action to fail previous lows. So when price
comes to this level and fails to create a new low, that is called price action failure. You know that it has to continue to move in that direction if it's going to continue on that trend. If it doesn't, that shows there's a failure of price to do that. The probability is that price is going to go in the opposite direction. So once you see a trend line broken, then that's when you start to see the new trend forming. Then you have the higher high, the new higher low. There's your trend, and then you're off to the races. So that's what you're looking for. So once you become a student of volume and price, then trading just simplifies itself, and really the analysis just falls right into place again. 5-minute on the ES. All right, so let me go over to this workspace here. All right, here is the mini or micro ES. All right, on the 3-minute. I use a 3-minute, and then triple that gives me a 9-minute. Got a 27 and 81. So that gives me really nice harmonic values to look at. So harmonics are where the market likes to show itself. It's like its underbelly. So you kind of look at the harmonics to see what's moving and where it goes. And this is just a simple 50-period moving average. So that helps me to see the range. This right here is the volume weighted average price for that current instrument. So price usually will come down to the 50 SMA, or it'll come down to the VWAP. So these are always going to be really nice support levels that you want to keep in mind. Again, if you see the breakout, this is right after the market opened and it came and gave a really nice trend entry point, then you establish your levels or your numbers that you're looking at and take your trade based upon those same levels. I think this is just a 1.5 ATR levels. So let me look at that and see what my levels are. Yeah, it's a 1.5. So if I expanded that out to a 2, which is more in line with where we are right now, then I put that same point on, then I have a much better range. I like to set my stop to be about halfway between the trailing stop and the current entry point. So the entry point is the close of the current bar, or anywhere basically on this bar right here is where I would enter the trade. So this is my trigger bar and this is my entry bar. So I like to target a 3-to-1 as my first profit target. Depending upon how choppy the market is or what I expect from the markets in my pre-market analysis, I might take 2-to-1 as my profit targets. So that helps me to make sure that whatever risk I have in that trade is going to give me back that return. Now I can take losses, which I always do, but I take the losses as a 1-to-1. So a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1 just guarantees by the end of the day, I'm always going to be profitable. Odd number time frames is just to stay off of the beaten trail. Everybody uses a 5-minute and a 10-minute. So 15 minutes, those are go between odd and even. They're kind of harmonic in that they're doubling, but tripling gives nice ranges, because this is very close to a 90. This is close to a 30. So close to a 10. 3-minute is just a really nice chart, and I've always enjoyed trading off the 3-minute chart. But the there's nothing wrong with trading off a 5-minute chart. Just not a problem at all. If you like simple charts, then you can always trade different time frames. But looking at the analysis, a 1-minute will tell you what's coming. Here you can see from a 1-minute perspective, a corrective move back down to support and then starting to come back up again, showing you that this trend could be continuing and moving in your direction. So what do I mean by volume weighted average price? It's an indicator that comes either with the platform, or it's looking at the overall volume weighted by price and it's being displayed to show you where the daily average volume level is located. That's all. It's a really nice image of support. And you can see that as price comes to that level, notice how well that did. So when you're trading below VWAP, it's red. And so you can see it comes back up to that, respects the volume level. And then when it breaks it, the line turns green, and then it comes back down again, breaks it, tests it, and then stays above it. So it's a really nice indication to do. You should be able to look on that. You can Google VWAP, volume weighted average price, and it'll tell you what the actual equation is for calculating that if you wanted to code it up yourself. So it's a pretty handy little tool. Yeah, thank you, David. I see that you did that on there. All right, next question. We got plenty of time. Fast time frame or slow time frame? Looks like you guys are pretty much stock or futures centric. Yeah, that's what we're on right now. The MES is just the micro ES. You're going to get the same price, but I'll show you what the ES will be the same chart. A little bit difference in numbers because the volumes are a little different, but oh, I don't have that linked. So this is a green. So let me pull that to green here. There's the ES. So ES, the MES, you see the exact same setup. Same entry points. 933 entry point. Put your levels on. We hit a level 3 first and then a level 4. So it's the chart's the same. You're looking at the same point. Looking at the overall longer term, which is looking at an 81 minute. You can pull up a 60 minute if you prefer the 60 better. But the 81 chart gives me a nice harmonic based upon my 3, 9, 27 charts. Up into overhead resistance. So I'm expecting this to start giving me some pause or some range bound price action until I hit a 47.71. Yeah, this chart right here also is a roadkill. I call it a roadkill because what it's showing me are historic future the higher time frame trend and volume. So if I were to look at this particular indicator, this particular roadkill is showing me that based upon the 3-minute chart, I'm looking at a 6-minute trend and I'm looking at a 6-minute volume. But I've got it displayed on my 3-minute chart. So this 6-minute will show me an alignment at that point. This roadkill trend, all right, is based upon a 12-minute. Okay, so I doubled the current time frame and I doubled it as well, showing this chart. The higher time frame charts I trade off of are tripled, 9-minute and 12. The trend and stops, I always have them set to normal. Is QQQ buy on a daily chart? Well, let's take a look. I'll switch back over to my longer term stuff. Based upon the NASDAQ right now, long term, it is already in a buy structure. The buy came in November. We got another continuation move, which this was an overall longer trend. So we came into consolidation, then broke. So this right here would have been your secondary buy point right there at 16.4. So that's the NASDAQ, but let's pull the Q up since you're specifically interested in Qs. It should give you a very similar profile, just a little bit different. So you can see the initial entry You can see the consolidation and then the re-entry point either here or here based upon what you see from that point. This would be a safer bet because it's a close above the previous high. So this is a range trade. You can draw a trend line down until you see it break. And so this one would have been the first one you could take, but notice it's a white trend dot. So I would not take a trade on a white trend dot, but I would take a trade on a green one. And I've got green volume supporting it. My power is rising. And I also have a real nice support off of the weekly and the monthly. So this then would be the new trade entry point. Price came back up, closed back below that, exited the trade. So there is no, for me, there is no trade buy setup on the daily chart for the Qs. This looks like it's pushing up, but it's not a buy signal. It's going to be a while before I get a buy signal on the Qs, because here's my automatic trailing stop right here. If I were to have taken a short here, it's pulling back on me, putting me in lots of pain right now. And this would be my pain threshold. It's got to break that before I get a buy signal on the daily chart. So no, that's a nice, easy analysis. I wouldn't even question buying the NASDAQ right now. Now, if you want to ignore whatever your trading rules are, you can look at that. But if you look at a trend, for example, just do a line from here, right? You're putting it at the tops of each of the ones as it comes down. So I did that. Put it right here. Yeah, that's better. See, notice how it's connecting to the highs of the bars, and then as it continues down, it's got to come back up and break that downtrend line. We haven't even gotten that far in the trend in order to break it yet. So that's not a buy in my book, and I wouldn't go close to that yet. I think you're just setting yourself up for a pullback and a potential continuation down to support, which would be a sell move, not buy. Does the trial version same setup as you are showing? The trial gives you the platform, and then you can code the platform using these configuration rules. These configuration rules are quite simple. So if you look at the rules themselves, then it's real easy to set it up, because it's just simple indicators on and off. So let's, for example, the trend and stops indicator, you just simply load the indicator here, the trend and stops, you set the conditions, and if the trend and stops indicator triggers as a green trend dot, then that's what greater than 0 is. On the first line indicator, if it turns itself on, it's going to be greater than 0. So that's bullish. If that trend second line, which the output of the trend and indicator, the second output is the bearish indication, and the third output of that indicator right here is my neutral or consolidation position. So any one of these comes set up, then it'll trigger off of that. If you take the trial version, you come to my training class, I can send you copies of these if you have the Hawkeye software. If you don't have the Hawkeye software, then these won't work on your computer. These are set up because I used to own Hawkeye, so I have all the software and do whatever I want to with it. So the trial gives you the platform that you see here, the way to configure it, and it also comes with the presets. So you can see all of these presets here are ways that you can look at the analysis. EMA and price is by far my favorite. However, I have the Hawkeye ones coded up because that's the ones I prefer to use.
And if you are a Hawkeye user yourself, then I can share any of these with you, because the nice thing about the platform is that it has a share feature right here. If I click on that share feature, I can share it with any other person on the platform in real time. So everybody stays on the same page at the same time, and everybody can get going on that. So it's a great way to get it working and get it moving. And so what the scanner here is showing me is that on this column, this is my 15-minute column. I have a 30-minute column and a 60-minute corresponding to my 15, 30, and 60-minute chart. Each one of these boxes in the 15-minute column is showing me the trend, the volume, and the momentum of that particular trade. So the trend color, the momentum, and the volume colors are going to be displayed right here on this part. When they're all the same color, like you see here, Bitcoin Cash is showing us a green, green, green. So if I were to click on that, then you'll be able to see that the trend dot is green, the momentum is green, the volume is green. So that's green on my 15-minute. If I go to my 30-minute chart, then you'll see the same thing, green, green, green. And then on the hourly chart, you've got green, green, and green. So this is showing you that I'm green across the board. But anytime I start to see some weakness, like you see here on the pound Canadian, then you can see that there's volume is starting to show some weakness coming in off the 15-minute chart. And it's also congested on the 30-minute chart. I'm only looking at volume and momentum on my 30-minute, and I'm only looking at volume on my 60-minute. I don't care about the trend. I don't care about the heat map on the longer time frame. I'm just only looking for a volume confirmation. And that's the method that I have had great success on for well over 10 years now. So. All right, it's got quiet out here. I don't see any more analysis coming up on the charts. Anybody else have something they want me to take a look at? Any Bitcoin or oil, gold, or silver? I say I've got all those listed here to trigger and to show me that, but I can pull it up over here on NinjaTrader as well. All right, here's gold. It's on the February contract. All right, Tim, here's the daily, weekly, and monthly charts for gold. This is a February current contract, the current price. You can see that it's currently consolidating in its range bound here between 2,100 and 2,000. So you got a $100 range that it's kind of bouncing between on the daily. You can see it confirmed on the weekly. We have a high that we pegged out on. It came back down and established a new low, but then it failed to create that new high. So you're looking for it to correct, but it is on an upward trend. So the weekly trend is bullish. You have a daily trend, which is bullish. See, it's green, white, green, white. It's gone into a white trend, which is consolidation, but it's heavily weighted to the downside. But I'm not getting an increasing power move. So this is showing me it can probably stay in this consolidation range in this choppy area for the longer term. And we're also bullish monthly. So we're in a bullish trend on gold, but right now it doesn't look like it's going to go anywhere anytime soon. Okay, Apple. Everybody's worried about Apple. Well, I own a very large stake in Apple. I need to let you guys know that. So I've weighed it, and I also cushion it with options. So I've got some nice put options on Apple right about 195 area. So so that's healthy for me right now, since it's trading between 180 and 183. It's quite in the money, but it's what it does, it just protects my downside so I can sleep better at night. I'm still expecting Apple to continue to go monthly. It's still in a nice bull run,
Okay. Weekly, I'm in a bull run. It's corrected back down to support, which is fine. My puts are in place. And on the daily chart, you can see that it has corrected out of my range. So if I were trading this based upon the daily chart, I would have exited this trade already. Okay, the big close down when they announced the ban on the iPhone, the iWatches in China and so forth. That was a pretty big cut. But after I started seeing volume starting to come back in, that's when I put the 195s on. So 195, it was my threshold. I paid a nice penny for them, but that's okay because it's insurance and they're quite in the money right now. And so it's healthy to have that as a downside protection if you're on a stock that you want to hold. And for me, I'm a holder of Apple. Where is my buy point? Well, if I were to look at this particular chart based upon the daily, then I would take my chart and I would put the range right there. You can see the nice trend range. I need to see green volume and I need to see price action close higher than that trend line, showing that that downtrend corrective move was broken. And then that it will return in the direction of the longer term trend, which is what we have established over here on the weekly. So daily breakup trend with the weekly direction is good for a buy point. So that would put us, based upon where it's coming from, one in the, above 185, 187, closing the gap potentially back up to 195, 193 would be the target. But it's already established a new resistance area. So it could easily come back up to this level, fail, and then continue back down to the 177 range, because it can still go all the way back down here and still be within normal parameters. So 165 area, you can see that on the weekly as well. So trend line here, break. Here's your parallel line right to that level. So that's the this is the safe retracement level. If it goes below that, it's not safe anymore for Apple. PHM, Pulte Homes. I do have about 4 or 5 more minutes to go. So this will be close to the last ones that we're looking at. For doing that, and then sure, I'll take a look at oil. It's still loading right now. Notice that my mouse is disappearing on that chart, so something's not right with that. That's that chart set up. Let me see if I can get off to another one. It's not liking that one. Go to American Express. Okay. It's still not liking it. And notice my mouse is just, there it goes. No, it's still not doing it. So I've got a problem with that chart. I may have to redo it. Let me go back to my dailies. Intraday. I usually have these things set up just for futures, but I'll throw a stock in there just to see what it does. It may take a little bit to download it. It's all based on the broker. It's just not pulling the data for some reason. All right, well, I'm going to pull up crude oil then. Here's the crude oil futures. It's currently on the February contract. Looking at the 3, 6, 3, 12. Looking at 3-minute, 9-minute, 27-minute. Really strong down move. Once we broke down through the 50 SMA, came down, held, came back up again, could not create a new high, broke. And then this right here was the trigger for the buy point to the south. All right, so you could have easily seen that also in your 3-minute or your 6-minute charts. That same point right there was the trigger for the entry south. If you're looking at trading that to the short side, then that was the move to get in. So you're looking at about 72.20 in that range. So that's $2 on oil. So if you're trader of crude oil futures, that's $2,000 that you're looking at. So you're looking at a really nice setup. Well, this EMA is a 50 SMA. It's not an EMA. It's just a 50 period simple moving average. 50 period simple. SMA. It's a very stable line for support and resistance. Yeah, I mean it'll go through it. It just like any other support or resistance line, always consider it to be like a rubber band. It's going to have a little bit of give, it's going to have a little bit of take, but it's always going to give you very nice, secure areas of support and resistance that once broken, give you really nice directional moves. All right, I'm out of time today, guys. Thank you very much for all of your questions, your time and attention. If you have other questions about me, my analysis, or the software that I support in this platform, you can always contact us at support@mt4professional.com.